And the other guy out first.
Yeah, and then I'm just saying if you'll just put it out, but maybe amend your agenda to do a non-action item to discuss the water situation.
On the manager's,
Mayor's report.
mayor's report, okay.
No. Jim, hit your red.
I don't want to just go that over.
Can't believe my new glasses, that's ridiculous. We're ready to go? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Village of Ruidoso. Today is April Fool's Day, so I don't have time for none of your jokes or hijinks. We'll just get down to business. Is that okay with y'all? All right, we'll have a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd like to ask Councilor Gary over here if he would lead us in prayer. So if you'll stand with me for a moment of silence.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and the privilege of being here today, guiding us with our eyes to see the truth, our ears to hear it, and most importantly, our mouths to speak it. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right. Roll call, please, Mr. Sena.
Good morning, everybody. Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Councilor Jackson.
Here.
Councilor Salas.
Here.
Councilor Lutterman.
Here.
Councilor Eby.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
All right. I'd like a motion to accept today's agenda, please.
Mr. Mayor, move that the agenda be approved and that the chair be given the ability to move the items for discussion as needs must.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? None? Roll call, please, Mr. Sena.
Councilor Jackson.
Aye.
Councilor Lutterman.
Aye.
Councilor Eby.
Aye.
Councilor Salas.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. And I want to go ahead. We've got gentlemen waiting on the phone. What item number is that?
Mayor Crawford, that'd be item number 2 on the audit.
Okay, I want to move item number 2 to number 1.
Mayor, did you want to add that discussion item?
Oh, yes, and I want to, under the mayor's report, I'd like to have just a discussion item with no action, just a report from our water specialist, Mr. Eric Boyda.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me, Tim. Item number 2 is discussion and possible action on adoption of Resolution 2021-16, a resolution of acceptance and approval of the fiscal year 2020 audit. This is pretty exciting, awesome news. And so we have with us here today, is Judy going to start this off?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, fire away, Judy.
Good morning, Mayor, councilors. On March 17th, we did receive our letter of release to release the findings of our audit. And the audit actually doesn't become a public document until 5 days after that letter. So on March 22nd, it actually became a public document which we could actually talk about. And another requirement by the state is that the governing body accepts the audit report and approves it. So along with that, it also allows us to make the final payment to our auditor, Patillo, Brown and Hill, for their last payment on their services performed. So today we have Chris Garner, who's a partner with the firm, and he's gonna go over the results of the audit with you all. So take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Mayor and Council. What I have here is just some highlights, Mayor, from the exit conference that we did, back in, I want to say December. It has been a slow process this year getting everything through the state auditor, but that is, because it took a while, there's no reflection on the village. As we go through this presentation, you'll see the audit was very successful this year, and I'll just get started with it. The first slide that I wanted to go over is our opinion. We issued what we call an unmodified opinion, meaning the financial statements are fairly presented. This is the highest level of assurance that auditors can give, and in essence, this is the type of report that the village wants to receive, so this is a good thing. The next slide, there's two other reports in the financial statements that we have. The one on the left is a yellow book report, and because you had a single audit or a federal government's grant compliance audit, we had to do a single audit on top of the compliance audit. And so with the compliance audit or the yellow book audit, we have to test internal controls a little bit differently. And in New Mexico, the state auditor actually even expands that and requires us to test controls over additional items such as purchasing, your travel and per diem. So there's expanded samples. So there's a lot more testing in New Mexico that we have to do in order to complete that yellow book audit. And as you can see on that left-hand slide, that we have issued, or we're not issuing an opinion on internal controls. What we're doing is we're spelling out how we test those internal controls differently, and we did not have any findings, even with the expanded testing that we had. The report on the right talks about that compliance audit over the federal programs. And we do have to select certain federal grants and make sure I think there's now 11 compliance requirements that we have to go through and ensure that the village is following the federal guidelines. And we do issue an opinion on that one. And as you can see, it's the same type of opinion that we issued on the village itself. It's an unmodified report. Again, the highest level of assurance and the type of report that you want to receive. We could potentially have findings and still have a clean opinion, but we did not have any findings. Based on our testing, we had no exceptions noted, so we had no findings related to the single audit. The next slide is to talk about difficulties encountered in performing the audit. And COVID was a little bit different this year, but it really, your staff does a really good job with maintaining your records. So when we asked questions or asked for documentation, even though we weren't there on site, that information was provided to us in a timely manner. We got back the questions being answered quickly. And so I think what that tells council is that the organization of your accounting records and all the contracts and things that we have to look at are maintained in a good, orderly fashion so that your staff could reply to us very quickly. And so, again, the audit went extremely smooth, even though it was COVID and remote. We didn't really have any difficulties. The next slide, I think, is one of the more important ones, and I think it's really important that the council understand the significance of this one. And if we're, as auditors, are coming in and making lots of adjustments and having to change a lot of numbers, that would cause the council some concern as you're making financial decisions throughout the year. But as you can see, we did not have any adjustments. We did not come up with anything. And so the amounts recorded in your records were accurate. And again, I think what that tells council is that as you're reviewing those financial reports throughout the year, you can rely on those numbers and feel confident in those numbers as you're getting presented those throughout the year. I think the other thing that's important to talk about, over the last few years, Redoso has drafted their own financial statements. And so you are responsible for your financial statements, but in New Mexico, and there's a small percentage, I would say out of my clients, it's probably less than 10% that have the ability to draft their own financial statements and make sure that they meet the standards that we have to follow. And the village is one of those clients. And I think that's, really something that the village should be proud of, because not everybody in the state, even there's some large cities in our state that can't do it. And so, again, I think that's really important. And I know Judy is wanting to take your financial statements to the next level. GFOA has a program where you can submit your financial statements for an award. And what happens is actually the financial statements get a lot more information for the users of the financial statements, things about property taxes and tax the different tax people that are in the or in the village. But there's a lot of good statistical information that will be expanded. So your financial statements will get a little bit bigger, and she's going to try and get that award. And again, there's hardly anybody in the state. I think there's 20 entities in the total state of New Mexico that go after or that receive that award. So again, it's something very prestigious that the village is taking the next steps. Your finances over the last several years have really done a great job, not only from, reducing the number of findings down to 0, but then also just drafting your financial statements and now going to the next level with the GFOA award. So I guess there's one more slide. I think we've talked about it. Based upon even our expanded testing with the Yellow Book and our testing that we had to do do the single audit or that compliance audit for the federal programs, nothing came to our attention. There were no findings, and that the report had nothing in it. With that, I'll open up to any questions.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, Chris. Does anyone have any questions of Chris? Well, I mean, we knew about this some time ago, and it's been very difficult to keep my mouth shut, as everyone knows, but we're very proud of the audit and the job that Judy and her financial department continually does. And we thank you, Chris, and we know that you've got other things you've got to move on today. So we appreciate you showing up and giving us the good news.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Judy, do you want to take a victory lap or anything?
Yes, I want to thank Chris for always being flexible, not only during the audit, but also during the year with all our many questions that we asked to make sure that we're on the right track. And I just want to give a shout out to my staff and all the departments within the village. I know sometimes we can be pretty strict, but it's because we're strict that we get the audit with no findings. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Judy. Thanks to your staff. Great job.
Mayor Crawford?
Yes.
Counselor Coughlin should be on now on Zoom. I believe he dialed in, so I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. So. He is. Okay.
So Councilor Coughlin has joined us?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Mayor?
Yes.
I would just like to say, as a former banker that always was working to not have any findings on audits, this is exceptional, and I just wanted to say thank you to Judy and the staff for doing such a great job. I'm very proud. This is a great honor, and you do a great job. Thank you very much.
How many in a row is this, Judy?
It's either 2 or 3.
Well, I'm with you on there. I couldn't remember if we had one that we had something that came up and then they changed it later. But no, we're very tickled with this. We're a long ways from where we were not too many years ago of several hundred audit findings. So this is just a tribute to the things, the policies, procedures that management's put into, and then working with all of our rank and file to make sure that we follow all those procedures. So again, it's a real village victory. Everyone should be very proud of it, and because I know I certainly am. And it all is a team effort for sure. So we'll move on to, we think it's such a big deal. We have a resolution 2021-16, and I'll read it now. A resolution of acceptance and approval of the FY 2020 audit, whereas the governing body in and for Village of Ruidoso, State of New Mexico, Village Council is required by statute to contract with an independent auditor to perform the required annual audit or agreed upon procedures for fiscal year 2020, and whereas the Village of Ruidoso Council has directed the accomplishment of the audit for FY 2020 be completed, and whereas this audit has been completed and presented to the Village of Ruidoso Council per the March 17th, 2021 letter from the statute auditor authorizing release of the FY 2020 audit, and whereas NMAC 2.2.2.10 M4 provides in pertinent part that once the audit report is officially released to the agency by the state auditor by a release letter and the required waiting period of 5 calendar days has passed, unless waived by the agency in writing, the audit report shall be presented by the IPA to a quorum of the governing authority of the agency, and at meeting held in accordance with the Opening Meetings Act, if applicable. And whereas the outcome of the audit resulted in an unmodified opinion with no findings. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Ruidoso Council does hereby accept and approve the completed audit report and findings as indicated within this document. Passed, adopted, and approved on this first day of April 2020 in special session by the Village of Ruidoso at Ruidoso, Lincoln County, New Mexico. So we'll have that put into the record, so we're very pleased about this, and the unmodified is very important. Anybody have any last comments? Okay, awesome. Now we'll move back to item number 1.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mayor Crawford will need on the resolution, we need a motion.
Motion, yeah, I'm moving too quick.
You go, Susan.
I move that we accept the resolution of the acceptance and approval of the FY 2020 audit as presented.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Mr. Sena.
Counselor Lutterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Hooty hoo.
Oh, there he is.
He's on his phone. So,
Can you unmute? You can't unmute him? There you go. Counselor Coughlin? Counselor
Can you guys
Coughlin?
hear me?
Yes. Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is weird on Zoom. Aye.
Aye. Boy, that was a lot of work for aye.
A lot of work. Yeah, you have to do *6 and instead of just pressing mute.
It's a personal issue.
thank you.
Okay, so that passes. And now we'll move to back to item number 1. And I apologize, my new glasses, I can't read with them and I can't hardly read without them, so I don't know what's going on. Brand new smoking, I mean, just open them. Item number 1, discussion and possible action on appointment and approval of Chief of Police and administration of oath of office. Do we have a motion for that?
Mr. Mayor, my honor to move to approve appointment and approval of the Chief of Police and administration of the oath of office.
Second.
Any further discussion?
And that Chief of Police is Mr. Gary Gold.
Gary Gold.
Aye, yes.
Okay. So we'll have a roll call, please, Mr. Sena.
Okay. Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Lutterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
*6. There it is.
Oh my God. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It muted me somehow. Aye.
All right. Okay, so that passes. Thank you, Rifle, for pointing out that I didn't mention Gary's name. So, Gary, if you'd come forward, please. And I've done this a few times, and what I've learned is still with my accent, people have a hard time understanding me, so I'm going to give you a copy. so you can follow along. So I'm not an orator, so anyway. If you raise your hand, repeat after me. I, John Gary Gold.
I, John Gary Gold.
Yes, sir, you take it off. Having been appointed to the office of Chief of Police
Having been appointed to the office of the Chief of Police
for the village of Ruidoso in the county of Lincoln,
for the village of Ruidoso in the county of Lincoln,
state of New Mexico,
state of New Mexico,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of New Mexico,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Mexico,
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We appreciate everything you're going to do for us, and we're all here for you to support you.
Thank you so much.
So don't ever feel like you're out there by yourself.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and I'll sign this right now. We'll get that.
Glad you're aboard.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Chief Gold. It has a nice ring to it, so.
Full gold.
I imagine he's had it before.
Now, Mayor, may I ask that Mr. Gold kind of give us a little snapshot of who he is and where he's been? And I was so impressed with that interview. I mean, I think it'd be nice that the public here too.
Yes, I agree, 100%. You should be able to hear you good from right there sitting
Yeah,
down.
you can sit
Okay,
down and-
great. I was looking for a podium.
Can we have them maybe go over there so they can actually see them on camera?
Oh, yeah, so you can see him on video? I'm sorry, Gary. You'd think it's my first meeting sometimes, but right here is good, and then you just touch the red button and it turns green. There you go.
Well, Mayor and Council, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very honored to be the next police chief for the village of Ruidoso. I want to give a little bit about myself. I won't make it too long. I understand we got things to do
You
today.
got time.
My name is John Gary Gold, born and raised in the city of Las Vegas, where I started and ended my career. I started as a city police officer with the city of Las Vegas, and I'm very appreciative of the stuff that was allowed to me back then. I stayed there for several years going through the ranks of becoming a patrolman, a detective, a sergeant, a detective sergeant. I did narcotics, I did numerous things. And at one point in my career, when I was up for the next step in my career, I had to either get promoted within the organization or go for money. I think most of us understand that money is a big element in just about everything we do. We're just trying to accomplish a task to make sure that our families are financially stable. So my decision was to go to state police at that time, and it was another great step. I'm sure staying in the city of Las Vegas would have been a great step, but my decision was to go to state police. Within state police, I was able to go out and see the world, or see see New Mexico. I became a polygrapher, did numerous assignments through state police. I learned a lot in that area. I gained a knowledge of investigative skills. I met a lot of contacts, resources. It was a wonderful career. Towards the end of my career, I got sick. I had a stroke that kind of put a setback in my career. But I was able to get through a fluke aneurysm in my head. Right after that, I came back and I had all the support of the state police, and they were just amazing people. I got through that, started my career 100% active, and then I got asked to put in for the city police chief in Las Vegas. So with that, my wife and I discussed that, and with God behind us, we applied, and we were fortunate enough to be selected. There's where I began my administrative career, started learning about Robert Rules of Orders, administrative policing, and public policing, and most importantly, serving our public and becoming a public servant. So with that, I served up until the end of 2010, retired, and I guess I rode off into the sunset and enjoyed a little bit of retirement. I was a little bit too young. I believe I was 41 or 42 at that time, So I opened up a private investigator business. Successful, had a good business there, worked with another organization called SOARS, one of the elite PI investigation units in New Mexico. From there, my wife and I were running a business and it was a little difficult, so we wanted to get back into public service. I ran for sheriff. At that point, I got elected, in 2015. I started my office and I served as the county sheriff in San Miguel County from 15 to the end of 18, a four-year term. With that, I learned another great, a lot of knowledge from the other side, from serving paperwork and the civil aspect of it. So that only boosted my administrative abilities. So at the end of that time, I thought that I was done. My wife wanted to move to another city, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, where our children were already at. So we wanted to become faithful grandparents, faithful, obviously, parents to our children. And that's where we kind of converted into having God in our lives and trying to walk with God and do the right thing. So those, I guess, the years of experience have changed me as an individual. I want to bring to Rio Doso the point of virtues, morals, and ethics, and hopefully we can get a clean start and guide this ship in a positive direction. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, I'm sure, a learning curve. But for the most part, I have met most of the officers within the village, and they are just some amazing people. We are very blessed to have some intelligent individuals within our organization. I'm honored and proud to lead them. Hopefully we can get a clean slate and take it forward to where we'll be proud to be public servants for the village, and hopefully we'll set a great example for the village and for all your constituents. So, man, again, in a nutshell, that's who I am. I'm here to serve. There's going to be some ups and downs, as I said. My phone will be available 24/7. Any issue that comes up within the organization, within the police department or in the criminal, just give me a call. There's an answer for everything. If I don't have the answer, we'll find it. I have, like I said, a great staff, and we'll get the answer. But we'll do one thing at a time.
Thank you.
I didn't take too much time.
And we'll get together with some community. We'll, because I know there's a lot of folks out there that would like to meet you. So, we'll still stay within our COVID practices and maybe set up something here. I keep hoping that Wingfield property is going to keep moving quicker, and one day we can have these kind of events there. But looking forward to it. You getting to meet. We have so many wonderful people in the community. A lot of, our Midtown Business District and whatnot. And so we really support our police department here in this community, not just, administratively wise, but the public in general does. And so we're looking forward to your tenure here, and anything is always, the council is always available to you, and should you need us. And so we're welcome, and hopefully your wife enjoys Ruidoso. Hopefully you like outdoor amenities, the deer, the elk, and the horses. And so I'm sure you and I'll be talking a lot about those issues in the near future. So welcome, and we're certainly glad to have you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councilors. Thank you, City Manager.
All right, well, that works out real well. We feel very fortunate to get someone with such experience. It's in New Mexico, so that's very nice. Okay, item number 3, discussion and possible action on third renewal agreement by and between the Village of Ruidoso, a municipal corporation of the state of New Mexico, owner of Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and R.D. Hubbard Enterprises, Inc. And is Joe Kasabowski handling this one?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm here. Mayor and Council, this is just the third renewal agreement of their land lease for where their hangar sets out at Sierra Blanca Regional Airport. We're just asking for approval on this so we can get this taken care of.
Okay. Any questions?
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Mayor, I move that we approve the third renewal agreement by and between the Village of Ruidoso, a municipal corporation of the state of New Mexico, owner of Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and R.D. Hubbard Enterprises Incorporated.
Second.
Any further discussion? None?
No.
Roll call, please, sir.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Lutterman?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Attaboy, you're getting that button figured out. That's good. Okay, we'll move on to.
I'm slow.
Yes, you are. We appreciate you anyway. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action on exterior renovations of the Wingfield House located at 2811 Suttereth Drive in the amount of $214,706.25, including gross receipts tax, through Cooperative Educational Services, CES, agreement with White Sands Construction, Inc. And Mr. Sena, you want to carry this one?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we did receive a quote here from through CES with White Sands Construction through CES. We had procured prior. We had an architect that completed the design work for the exterior portion of the project. As the mayor stated, we're excited to move forward with this project. We have the radio station under construction as we speak, and this will be another able to get the exterior portion of it completed and move forward. The next phase would be designing the having a design completed on the interior portion of the building and moving forward with that. So at this time, I will stand for any questions regarding this project.
So this will include the demo on the back end of the building that was added?
Yes.
2 and 2, and then taking the front porch area back to like the original construction?
That's correct, Mayor. There'll be some either some stucco replacement or stucco repair, and windows and et cetera with the project also.
Does anybody have any additional questions, comments? Tim?
Mayor, I just want to let everybody know that, we do have $750,000 that's been appropriated through the legislative appropriations. The governor still has, a few days to sign off on.
Why does she still have a few days for that? Is that, I was just wondering.
After the legislative session, she's given 30 days to sign off on any bills. And, oftentimes, she uses that and goes through it. Sometimes she line item vetoes. But, that's one of the actions that hasn't been approved by her yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we expect that she's probably going to sign off on that now that she got some of her legislation through in the special session.
Yeah, yesterday. So as long as I'm a good boy and don't really mouth off too much, that we'll probably get this.
You're on 30-day pause.
Yeah,
Mayor.
okay. I'll set on my tongue
I'll
for as
take
long
the
as I can.
$750,000.
But my understanding, Mayor, is that came directly, out of her office. We got the questionnaires coming from her staff.
Yeah.
So I think that she's the one that put that money in there, so I don't think she's gonna.
She's going to pull it out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I just want to put that out there, Mayor, and this cost that we're looking at today will have to be appropriated out of our funds. This won't be reimbursable under that legislative action. So I just want to let everybody know that this is something we're going to have to appropriate money for. And, that leads to my question. Judy, do we have this budgeted?
Mayor, Counselor, we do not have this currently in the budget, but we do have 3 options that you can choose from on how you want to fund it. As you know, our GRT revenues are over our budgeted amounts, so we could actually increase our revenue stream in the general fund to offset this expenditure. Number 2, you could actually take it off cash balance. And number 3, we do have residual funds from the CARES Act that you could allocate from. So either option is good. I just need some direction on which way you want to go.
Mayor, Council, my recommendation is we use some of the windfall money that we received as a result of the CARES application.
I agree.
Can I ask?
Hey, Mayor, I have a question.
Go right ahead, Tim.
Okay, so if we go ahead and pay for this out of however we're going to pay for it, and then we do get that $750,000, is there, I'm assuming, $750,000 worth of interior renovations?
Yes, we can do the interior renovations with it, but also I think it can go to the parking lot or the front of the property needs to be, landscape some. So I do not think under the Davis-Bacon Act that we're going to have any problem spending the money. And that's just my opinion with the cost of materials these days. Is that my right,
Oh,
Tim?
true, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Tim's nodding his head,
I
yes.
just wanted to make sure we weren't, going to end up in a situation later.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, this would be a severance tax bond, and they would sell the bonds, and you do a bond survey, and then you can add a scope of work, and we would sure add a lot of the additional, as you mentioned, Mayor, additional work that would be included in we would at least request that, so.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mayor, Council, the next phase is we're going to go into design of the interior and then the exterior landscaping and things of that nature as well.
And it's really exciting times for those that aren't following us as much as we do. This is a historic property that, of course, you know the address, but a lot of people just can't place it in their mind, but it's next to Ace Hardware, across from Slotsky's and Branded Outlet and those fine stores over there. A lot of historical significance to Ruidoso, and with this purchase and then able to put in some historical items, history with the village of Ruidoso, so we can answer a lot of questions, and I think it'll give our citizens a real sense of where we came from and help us to continue to decide where we're going. But it's exciting, and we'll get to answer the questions of how come Ruidoso didn't get Lake Bonito, how come we weren't in the Lincoln County War, a lot of those issues. And so we're excited, and I thank the public for all the loans and gifts of material that's been in your families that we'll have on display. We want it to be a part of the community. That's why we want this place to be, if it can be, timeless, so it'll be here for generations to come, so that people can come in, learn about Ruidoso, be another added attraction to the village. And, of course, we have a living remnant, is that right word? Wordsmith, remnant of the Wingfield family setting over here. Susan Letterman, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I appreciate you saying about the donations. Right now I have a garage full of donations to put into the Wingfield House, and the more people hear about it, I hate to say an old-timer family, and a lot of them are young with the old-timer families, but they're coming forward with different pictures, and so I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. Frank Potter and I are working on writing down what's being donated so that people will know that this is just a donation, it's their goods, but everyone's getting to enjoy it. And so I'm so excited about, as well as all of my family, about the prospect of having the Wingfield house have a lot of people in it, and a visitor center, and just enjoying how Ruidoso used to be. And so we're very excited. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yep. All right. Anybody else? Yes, sir, Tim?
Mayor, if I may, also I just want to, add in, since we are looking at utilizing that pot of money that we've talked about with the, the Recovery Act that was passed. Ron and I have been setting in on some seminars. We have another one that's going to be coming up that's hosted by Ben Ray Lujan. But with the formula, we're estimating that there's going to be an additional direct allocation that's going to be coming to us, about 1.8. And on that one, they're talking about it being, it's still, the guidance from the Department of Treasury is still being developed. They have 60 days to get that out and get the money out to the state. And then the state has 30 days to distribute that money. And that money can be, it looks like it's going to be very similar to the same type of reimbursable expenditures that were in the first CARES. But in addition to that, they're talking about revenue replacement. So, the reason I'm bringing that up is that there's other opportunities that's going to provide for us as well. In there, and not in accordance with the direct allotments, there's also other pots of money that are coming down to the various agencies to be distributed for water, wastewater, and broadband. And so right now, Ron and I have been working with staff to make sure that we have projects that are shovel-ready on both the water, wastewater side, and also the streets. And, you know, as you all have seen lately in the news, the president's talking about another, you know, couple of trillion
Yeah.
that he's going to be pushing out for infrastructure. And, you know, that one's, you know, we want to try to analyze that to see if we can, you know, get some of that money for the bridges. That's one of the things that they're talking about, so that we can get those complete as quick as possible. So we're trying to make sure that we align a lot of what we're doing and making sure that the local resources that we have are going to be going to projects that won't be funded through this next round of money that's coming down, and then trying to really move those other projects forward. So I think that this project is going to be an anchor business that is going to help that section of Midtown. So, you know, it's just in my view, it's a great anchor business that we can use to start helping to recover that area, that area of the economy.
Okay, yeah, I know we're set, we're poised, you know, we want to be ready so that when these funds are allocated, that we are first in line, that if at all possible, but that we have those projects ready to go so that we can get them done. I know it sounds like we're being greedy little pigs, but we didn't make up these rules, you know, but we're playing the game that's out there to get what we need for our community. So anyway, we'll get back to, I think I need a motion, don't I?
Mayor,
I think so.
Mayor, one more comment. You know, to add to Tim's comment is, you know, the Wingfield House is the gateway to Upper Canyon, and really Upper Canyon is really what started Ruidoso. So, you know, we can kind of add to that too. It's the gateway to Upper Canyon. So.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and you get to go by Ron's Bridge. Over Ron's Bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still working on that plaque there, Ron, for all the hard work you did to get that bridge through it.
Mayor, I move to approve the exterior renovation of the Wingfield House located at 2811 Sutter Drive in the amount of $214,706.25, including gross receipt tax, through Cooperative Educational Service, CES, agreement with White Sands Construction, Inc., and the funding to be coming from the residue of the CARES Act money. Is that what you requested?
Yes.
Then,
Second.
Any other further discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Santa.
Counselor Salas,
aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby, Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. That's some of the fun stuff that we get to do around here. And so we're excited about it, that it's finally taken place. I know other councils have tried and the opportunity didn't present itself, and we were able to take care of it
Thank you,
from
Mayor,
good
Council.
fiscal responsibility. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on change order number 1 with White Sands Construction, Inc. through Cooperative Educational Services, CES, for radio station remodel in the amount of $971.49, including gross receipts tax. And before Councilor Coffin comes off of his seat, wherever you may be, this was kind of my fault. It just had to do when we were looking at the flooring for what we're wanting to do with this piece of property and the iconic nature. I just thought it deserved something better than a little 9x9 square flat cheap tile. So we upgraded to a little different. It's a vinyl product that looks like wood. That is, I mean, it's really hard to tell the difference. Very durable, whatnot. So hopefully that passes the mustard with Councilor Coughlin. I didn't get to put a sales job on him. So anyway, that's what it is.
Well, I'm sure when we get to the interior furnishings, you're going to need that special chair that looks like a throne while you're on the radio.
Well, you busted me. Okay, Ron, did you have anything else to say?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, with Rodney Grego's help, we did procure, we went out and solicited some additional quotes locally just to see on the pricing, and they were the lowest, so.
Yeah, we tried to go local and everything else, and White Sands did come in the most affordable. So with that, if there's no more discussion or poking or not malfeasance, I'm not going to go that far, Mr. Coughlin, but we can take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 1 with White Sands Construction, Inc. through Cooperative Educational Services, CES, for radio station remodel in the amount of $971.49 for exotic flooring, including gross receipts tax.
Second.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Lutterman.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
So it's that exotic vinyl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
Upgrade. Item number 6 is discussion and possible action on award of IFB number 2020-005B, Town and Country Subdivision Water and Sewer Rehab and Replace Project to General Hydronics Utilities, LLC, and agreement in the amount of $1,681,748.62, including gross receipts tax, contingent on receiving approval from the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration, NMDFA. And this is really exciting that we're finally getting to move this forward. So, Mr. Commander.
Good morning, Mayor. I'm your Mr. McCann.
Okay.
Mr. Commander this
Very
morning.
much.
Okay, this IFB was advertised on February 19th, and the bids were due on March 23rd. We had 17 potential bidders that attended the pre-bid conference. We ended up getting 3 bids in, and General Hydronics, of course, was the lowest. Sauter Miller did their review, and they certified the bid. So that's the recommendation you have before you.
Mayor Crawford,
Yes.
I just want to let you know that this project is over budget.
Yep, we see that for about $8,750. That's just a whopping.
I was going to try to pull an April Fool's on you.
Oh, is that what it was? I told you I don't have no time for your April Fool's. So talk to us about the funding on this one, whoever wants to take it.
Samantha?
Do you want me to do it or you?
Sam?
Oh, hi, Mayor. This is Judy.
Oh, hi, Judy.
Current funding is with a CDBG grant, and also we are supplementing not only GEO bond funds, but also the utilities, water distribution funding sources for engineering. So it's a combination of 3 revenue sources to get this project done.
I think Manager Dodge calls it a cocktail of funding.
There you go.
It's a mixer.
Okay. So this is exciting stuff that we're getting to move forward on this. I know the folks in Town and Country, as I can remember Councilor Salas way back when asking this question many times, and it's taken us this long to finally get that CDBG, which was the first one that we'd received since the 80s, I think. So good job to Samantha. I don't see her around, but she and her department did a great job of working the neighborhood, doing door-to-door stuff, a lot of work. So here's another wonderful example of the employees, the village staff doing their job and serving the community. So thank you very much, Sam.
Yes.
So we're going on to, did we already went through that, right? Have you called a roll call on that one?
We need a motion, Mayor.
Oh, we need a motion first. I am moving on. We need a motion for item number 6, please.
I move that we accept the award of IFB number 2021-005B, Town and Country Subdivision Water and Sewer Rehab and Replace Project to General Hydronics Utilities, LLC, and agreement in the amount of $1,681,748.62, including gross receipts tax, contingent on receiving approval from the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration, NMDFA.
Mayor,
Yes,
can I
sir.
make a suggestion that we also include adding the additional funds as well?
The other 8750?
Yes, sir.
Including the $8,750 as a budget adjustment.
Second.
Okay, any final discussion?
Yes, a question for Judy. When you mentioned some of the funding coming from the water utilities, is that out of SGRT or is it out of utilities?
No, it was actually out of Adam's budget for the engineering, and I think Adam wants to jump on a little bit.
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Salas, that was actually out of my sewer line extension line item, out of my budget.
Okay.
Well, thank you there for that one. Adam does a lot of good work, even on Sundays.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw that going on. Any other questions? Roll call, please, sir.
Counselor Lutterman,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby, Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I guess I know how President Biden feels. I just had that, I couldn't remember if we voted on that one or not. I was thinking about the property up the hill that we're gonna, developer's gonna do it, so.
I don't think you could ever be that forgetful.
That very forgetful? Wow, I mean, well, anyways, hope that I don't have another one of those. Okay, well, I'll move on to item number 7. Discussion and possible action on change order number 2 with White Sands Construction through Cooperative Educational Services, CES, for additional helical tiebacks to the west side of the building for stabilization, the Village Hall addition, in the amount of $24,809.39, including gross receipts tax. So, Mr. Sena, you want to give us a brief explanation?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, just for the record, also provided an additional attachment on this. On the finance, on the agenda memo, on the financial impact, the change order number 2 was incorrectly stated there. It was 24,809.39 and it was listed as 29,809.39. So thanks to Councilor Jackson for that change. So we wanted to make sure the budget was correct. So I did provide an additional document. This project here, we did receive this from White Sands Construction. We had a call with them to see about doing some additional type of other work that would be possibly be a lower cost. Councilor Cornelius had some ideas, so we did provide that to White Sands. Their architect did come down by Village Hall. They inspected it. Catlin Curry with the White Sands, whenever he provided us some information, he stated that that would take some engineering, which would be additional engineering costs. It would take additional time, and it would be around $5,000 to $10,000 more than, approximately $5,000 to $10,000 more than what their solution is on this change order. So. This change order would also, they're looking at possibly 14 days. We didn't have anything on the change order for additional 14 days, but they would evaluate that once the work was done and possibly at later date do a no cost change order for some additional days. And then they do have some weather days too. So, but that would be worked out later during the project. So.
And several of us did meet back there and look. It's where they had taken the decorative fascia or the facade off, and you could see the concrete, it was bulging. And so it looks like, I don't know what the code was way back when it was built, but it didn't have the rebar and whatnot in it. So this is just to shore it up. And, so it was something that was really unforeseen. Any other questions on it? Okay, we need a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 2 with White Sands Construction through Cooperative Educational Services, CES, for additional helical tiebacks to the west side of the building for stabilization, Village Hall addition, in the amount of $24,809.39, including gross receipts tax.
Second.
Okay, No discussion, roll call, please, sir.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then with the prerogative that I was given, I've asked, because I've gotten several questions and I know a lot of people are wondering. So we've asked our water specialist extraordinaire, Senior Eric, to come in and give us a little understanding of what's going on with our lake, talk to us about our water storage facilities and just where we're at because of the drought, or as the farmers from Gray County, Texas say, drought. So go ahead, Mr. Boyda.
Mayor Crawford, councilors, I'm Eric Boyda, the Water Resource Director. And so I wanted to share with you guys some information about this, the present drought that we're in. If you've looked at any of the drought monitor information that's been coming out, most of the state is in an exceptional drought, specifically Lincoln County and the area that we're in is mostly in the exceptional drought area. And so when we look at this, in comparison of the percent of Lincoln County that's been in these various drought conditions, we can see that we're likely heading into a similar period that we went into in 2012. Hopefully we don't have as lengthy of one, but it is just as severe as it was back then. So even though we've had some precipitation lately, the last 30 days precipitation amount has still just been a fraction of the normal percentage of precipitation, and especially here, so we're about 25 to 50% of our normal precipitation range for the last 30 days. And so we can see this effect in our USGS stream gauges. So these two that are in Lincoln County here, this one is the Hollywood gauge that dictates our water right diversions. And then this one is the gauge that's in the Upper Canyon, right at the border of Ruidoso and the Mescalero Reservation. And so the Hollywood gauge is much below normal flows, and the Ruidoso gauge at the border is below normal. And so we look at the graph of flows for since the beginning of the calendar year. This left axis is cubic feet per second, which we measure the surface water flows. And most of our water right portfolio requires a CFS of 4, which on this graph is this section right here. So you can see that we've been quite a bit below that, so it's limited our ability to take water into the reservoir. These triangles up here, these yellow triangles, this is the median flows that we would expect. And so we should start, if there was snow, we should have started seeing some snow melt. So comparing that to 2012, it's relatively similar, with the exception that at least in 2012, we were above that for CFS for the most part, and were able to divert water in that time frame. So the last few years have been relatively good years. We've been able to get all of my scheduled diversions into Grindstone Reservoir. This is 2018. 2018 had a real similar feel until we got some substantial precipitation in mid-February. and that pulled us through to be able to fill up the reservoir. Surprisingly similar, in 19, we had another substantial rain event in mid-February that gave us quite a bit of flows. This year, the 19 year was a relatively good year. And actually at that point, I already had diverted all the water I needed into Grindstone Reservoir before the first of the year anyways. And then last year was actually a really great year for flows, typically sticking around that median line and then substantially increasing with the snow melt. We had adequate supplies last year. So when we look at the Snowtel site on Sierra Blanca, so the Snowtel site looks at the snowpack density and converts that snow into snow water equivalent. And so it basically compensates for if you've got a real light, fluffy snow, or if you've got a real heavy snow. The heavier snow is going to have more water content. And so the gray line on the top here is the average precipitation accumulation, and this black line is where we're presently at. So based on averages, we're already several inches behind, about 7 inches behind in precipitation for this time of year. When we look at the snow water equivalent and the medium snow water equivalent, so the red line is the median snow line or snow water equivalent, and then the blue line down there is where we're actually at. So basically, there's no snowpack, and we can't plan on having any supplemental water from the snowpack melting. And so here's another graph showing that snowpack amount. So the blue line on the top is kind of the maximum that you would expect for snowpack. In between this kind of turquoise color and light green is the median snowpack value. And so I mapped on there, the black line is at the very bottom is the current snowpack levels. And then that yellow line is the 2012. So at least in 2012, there was some snowpack available, but this year we do not have that. So when we look at our total diversions from November through March, you can see since 2016, when we had the dam liner put into Grindstone, and we started shifting our diversion strategies around, and Randy Kane was able to get the treatment plant 3 to start treating surface water from Eagle Creek. We were substantially able to increase our total diversions, and most of that comes from us putting water into the Grindstone Reservoir. So the blue on the top is Eagle Creek groundwater. The yellow is Eagle Creek surface water. The gray is the Ruidoso groundwater, and then orange is the Ruidoso surface water. So, when we're looking at our total kind of water rights strategy, our goal is to try to minimize the amount of Ruidoso groundwater diversions and maximize the amount of Eagle Creek surface water diversions. And so we've been on track for that for the last 4 years. But this year, our diversions are substantially down, and that's because of the absence of Eagle Creek surface water and Ruidoso surface water. So we're getting that surface water from Eagle Creek to get our import credits, and then there's just not water available to take into Grindstone. So we have the water rights available to take into Grindstone, it's just the flows haven't really been there. And so here's a line chart giving this breakdown in a different means. So we can see the Rio Ruidoso surface diversions being substantially larger over the last 4-year period, but significantly decreasing. And then we've got an increase in Eagle Creek groundwater diversions and increase in Ruidoso groundwater diversions. And so when we look at the percentage or the ratios of surface water to groundwater, we can see that we've increased our groundwater diversions to compensate for that absence of surface water. But this is what we've planned for. So this is why we've been making a lot of these capital investments to improve our water system resiliency by having more types of diversions. So we're able to handle stressors like this. When we're looking at the Grindstone Reservoir, we have, as of yesterday afternoon, we were just a hair above 6,900 feet elevation, so it's approximately 19 feet below spillway. So we have lost some of those gains that we've made over the last few years, but we're still doing quite a bit better than we were in 15 and 16. And so in terms of volume though, we have lost a substantial amount of volume over this last year from the Grindstone Reservoir, and that's why it's down so far. But with some of the precipitation events that we've gotten, we've at least been able to maintain the reservoir since approximately January. So we haven't lost much water at all since January. And so hopefully we'll be able to try to at least maintain these levels as best as we can. So as we look at changes to our diversion strategies, we're looking at ways to reduce the demands on the Grindstone service area. So if you remember, several years ago, we installed the Cherokee Interconnect, and the Cherokee Interconnect brings water from a combination of the Grindstone and Alto service areas and provides water to the Pine Cliff and Camelot subdivisions. And so it's been an incredibly critical asset for us to reduce the pumping of Cherokee Well. And so that's why in the past 4 years, we've had such a substantial reduction in the diversions from the Rio Ruidoso well field. But because we've done that, we have the water available to start running the Cherokee Well. So in times of plenty, we're providing that area with surface water from Grindstone. Now that there's less water, we can reduce that demand and use that well. We've also are beginning to use the Alto Grindstone Interconnect, and so that brings water from the Alto service area to the Grindstone area. And so typically we wouldn't run that if we're running the Gavilan Canyon well field. But again, because we were using our water right portfolio strategically these last 4 years, we have a substantial amount of water that can be diverted from this well field. So again, when we have surface water available, we're using surface water. Now we can start running our wells in the absence of surface water. And then with the improvements that we've been doing on Eagle Creek, our well field is in substantially better shape than it was in 2012. We have our green well is fully operational. We've got the North Fork well field has all been rehabbed since then. And then we have our new wells that are coming online, the Alto 2 and Apple Orchard wells. And then we've also reconfigured how the river well is operated, and now we're running that into our system. So with that, we've not seen substantial drops in the aquifers in the areas that raises any concern, but we are keeping a regular eye on it. But I do feel comfortable, at least in the short term, that we'll be able to continue to provide our water services throughout the area. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
I do. So are we currently, or have we been using the Interconnect on Cherokee, on the Grindstone service area?
So Mayor Crawford, the Cherokee Interconnect only runs to the Cherokee service area. So we've ceased operations of that about a month ago and have started using the Cherokee well substantially more. So the water doesn't come from the Cherokee well to the Grindstone.
Right. So what you've been doing is that we've been using water out of Grindstone to treat and to put in that service area?
So that's our general goal, but we've since stopped doing that in response to this drought.
Yeah,
and that
because
should help
the
reduce.
lake has dropped so much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make, because that's what people are asking. That are we treating water out of Grindstone for service? And the answer is yes.
Yes. So
we have been.
Yeah. So the Grindstone Reservoir and Treatment Plant 4 serves the Grindstone service area, and that's approximately about 20% of our customer base.
Right. Okay, and then back to Alto. So have we been using water for service out of the Alto Reservoir?
Mayor Crawford, no. At this present time, the surface water treatment plant isn't in a condition to treat the reservoir water, and that is the reasoning for us doing those upgrades. So the losses from the Alto Reservoir is just because of the absence of surface water flows, and then the evaporation and infiltration from that reservoir is why it's dropping.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
I just had one. Mr. Mayor, Eric, I wanted to thank you. That was a great presentation, and especially the bar graphs. It looks like we're below the lowest of those in comparison to 2014. And my other question is, have you any estimate, because of your expertise at being involved with this on a daily basis for years, about how this might proceed? Are we looking at an estimate of a 3 to 5 year drought, or do you have any idea about that?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Jackson, I don't have the expertise to provide any opinions on that, but from my understanding and visiting with people is that we've been in a 40-year drought and we're still in it. So this is just a phase of that drought process. So, because of our investments and trying to strategically use our portfolio, I feel confident in our water production capabilities for the next several years because of our protection of that groundwater resource. So we should be prepared for an extended drought like we saw before. It could be it could end in the monsoon season. It might go for several years.
Thank you.
Okay, and as far as all of our storage tanks, they're located around the city, the village?
Mayor Crawford, we have not had any issues with sustaining water service in town. So all of our treated water storage tanks are at our standard operating levels.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may? Mayor, one of the things I want to point out, and just, more for the public than anything else, is that, Oftentimes people look at the reservoirs and they use that as a judge, especially when they've been here, a long time, as a judge to, the water conditions. And, one of the things that, by the, looking at the graphs, what's being presented, there's been a lot more of the demand that's been shifted to groundwater and the ability to produce groundwater. So the conditions 5, 6, 7 years ago are a lot different than what they are today as far as us being able to produce and deliver. And, so the lakes have dropped, and oftentimes people get worried when they see that type of thing, not just here, but everywhere, when they're used to seeing those reservoir levels. But, I think the village has done a great job over the last few years to really diversify its ability to produce water. So.
I agree. And that's really the purpose of this briefing by Mr. Boyd, is to assure the public that all the work has been done, and that's where a lot of the money that we've piled into the production side of the water, treatment of the water, all of those things have been done. And so we're in much better shape than we've, I think, ever been. So it just doesn't look like it when you're looking at the lakes.
I'd recommend that we should probably try to create like a film of this presentation and put it on our website so people can go on and view it.
That's a good idea.
It is a good idea.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Boyda. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Mayor Crawford and councilors.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay. So I see that concludes today's agenda. Is there any other comments or topics anybody needs to visit with? Being none, we will call this meeting done. Thanks, everybody, for attending.